Hi, this is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
And you're listening to Unexplained Arkansas, a new podcast that explores urban legends, mysteries, and the unsolved in the natural state.
We're just two best friends discussing the unexplained in Arkansas.
Hi, and welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. I wasn't going to laugh this time. And then you started doing like the hand baton. Okay. Maybe we should not see each other during these podcasts. Maybe we should turn the video off. Okay. So
No.
I'm Amber.
I'm Lisa. And we are
Unexplained Arkansas. And unexplained weirdos too. Here comes Mabel. She's like, what is all the fuss?
The pod, not the podcast. The pod.
We're the pod squad. Yes. Oh, no, I think somebody else uses that on their podcast. So we can't call it the pod squad. I actually started calling everybody the Scooby Gang, which I'm sure we can't use that because of copyright, violations, whatever. But I think it's fun. I feel like we're like a Vilma and a Daphne. So I get to be Vilma, though, and you have to be Daphne. That's us. Like if this was a facts of life situation, you would be Blair and I would be Joe. So this is like Blair and Joe doing a podcast. Why do we talk about facts of life so much on this podcast?
I don't know.
Yes. So
and Brady Bunch.
You're the biggest Blair I've ever met.
I don't think you said that as a compliment. Are you calling me extra?
You've always been that way. In high school, you were Blair. Blair. I was Joe, and I guess Courtney was Tootie or Sherry. They came in and out.
Tootie. Oh my goodness, we are delirious.
Joe that liked to date the county boys.
Oh, you and your county boys.
I know. I loved them though. I loved dating outside of our high
You'd be
school.
like, I have this boyfriend from Judsonia. And I'd be like, where? Who?
Yeah. I don't know what I was going to say, but yes, that is all true. I would always have boyfriends that were in other school districts and stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah. But I don't think Blair. I think Blair is a compliment. I don't think that's a bad thing. She's really pretty. I mean,
she was smart and she was best friends with Joe. They ended up being best friends.
I don't own a motorcycle, so maybe I'm not truly Joe.
Do you own any leather?
I think it's because I live with like 4 males, right?
Yeah.
So
that makes you a little Joe.
That makes me feel like a little bit Joe. But she was low key my favorite character on the Facts of Life. I loved her so much, and I loved her like afterwards, even though she only did made for TV movies. That's all she ever did.
What was her real name?
Nancy McKeon was her real name.
Okay. I liked her too. Yeah.
I liked all of them. And in fact, I was thinking about us and Facts of Life. I was thinking about running this joke like yesterday because I just started laughing. I was thinking about Blair and I'm like, oh my God, Lisa's such a Blair. But I was like, where can I stream Facts of Life? And
where?
You can stream it on Prime Video.
Oh, really? Okay, I have Prime. Ooh,
I
need to I haven't watched that in a gadillion years, so that would be fun.
Well,
something to do for Snowmageddon 24.
Yes. Whereas I just look like I just rolled out of bed. You always look so put together. So that's
well, I did get this morning, we went
I love
into
your shirt,
church.
by the way. It's so pretty.
Thank you.
No one can see us, but I'm sitting here in a 2-day-old Smashing Pumpkins t-shirt, and she is wearing this blouse. That's the only word for it is a blouse. It's not a shirt, it's a blouse. And it's got little diamond studs. Okay,
it does.
It's got diamond studs on,
the
you should
shoulder,
have a fashion channel because I love your fashion sense. So
you love it. Mm-hmm.
I do.
I love this pink. It's my pink. So
that is your pink. So
it's my pink.
We've got to get our headshots done, and you need to wear your pink in your headshots.
Okay.
So, and I'm going to wear my grunge,
with
my 90s grunge outfits
with my new pink dunks that Derry bought me. Oh, I love them. They're so cute. You haven't seen them. Have you seen them?
Yeah.
Did you see them?
Well, maybe I have.
So.
Yes. Did you have them at Christmas when we did our Christmas?
Maybe.
No. Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe I haven't seen them.
No, because it wasn't. We did it before Christmas.
That's right, we did. Yeah. And speaking of our Christmas, we didn't talk about what we got each other. I'm drinking coffee right now out of my little mug you got me that says "Partners in Crime, Lisa and Amber." Yay. So I'm going to get you a mug that says Blair and Joe. So
and then little Tootie
and little Tootie.
Little Toot.
Forgot about Natalie. She was such a good person. Yeah.
Oh, I love Natalie. She was hilarious.
She was the funny one. Yeah.
She was the funny one.
But yeah, so Lisa got me this mug that's so cute, and I drink out of it. I rotate because my good friend Justin got me a Waffle House mug, and because my only true love is Waffle House, and so Justin works. He's a professor that I work with, and he worked in Waffle House to support himself through college. And now he's a professor, and anyway, awesome. So he somehow got me a Waffle House mug because I told him I wanted one. So I rotate your mug you got me, and then the one Justin got me for Christmas. So that's what's in my deep mug rotation right now. So because I'm very picky about my coffee mugs.
Of the Lambs stuff, because I do love Silence of the Lambs.
Yes,
and I've been using my
Lisa may look like Blair, but she thinks like Hannibal Lecter.
Okay, that's scary.
I'm kidding. Maybe her comfort movie since we were kids has been Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, that was
mine. Was 16 Candles. Hers was Silence of the Lambs.
I do like that one too. Remember when you get your first DVD player and you have to go buy all new movies for it?
Okay. So what was your first movie? What was it?
My first movie was Silence of the Lambs. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I believe that. That. Okay, so my first DVD movie was Fargo.
Oh, such a good movie.
I love. Okay, so Frances McDormand, is that her name? I love her so much. I love any. Oh, sorry, I just made my mic shake. Yes, but I love anything she's in. But I, Nomadland, she was in a couple of years ago, and that's one of my.
I need to see that.
I play that all the time because I want to end up like 70 in a travel trailer somewhere. I've read the book. Don't. I do. I've told you our retirement plan. Like Scott's and my retirement plan is to give the house to the boys and then get in a travel trailer and just go. Just go to Arizona and all the places. So
I will visit you in your travel trailer, but I will be in a hotel room.
What it's called, I know. That's what my granny always called them, travel trailers. So
I'll be like, I want to be able to call for room service and clean. Okay, I am a Blair.
Yes. Oh my gosh, they're probably like, how did they even meet in high school? And you know what? I really don't know.
Courtney.
Yes, I remember like meeting you guys at the Burger King randomly when we were like 16, and then we just hung out ever since that night at the Burger King.
Yeah, so. Courtney brought us together. She's like, I've got this really cool friend, Amber, and I was like, I need to meet her.
Oh, that's right. Because I was working at the radio station, and she'd helped me put together this concert for like the youth in our county, and we went all over the place putting up flyers because there was no social media back then. So we went to every gas station in White County and put up flyers for this concert, right? So yeah, that's how I met Courtney. So yeah, so that's how we became friends. Did we have email back then? I didn't have an email until college. I don't know.
Or
maybe you did.
Remember? PMs?
Well, I remember having some kind of instant messaging like freshman year of college. Yeah, I do remember that.
I do remember.
We're what you call our generation is what you call Zennials. So we're sandwiched in between Gen X and Millennials. So I like to call it the Dawson's Creek generation, but other people call it the Oregon Trail generation. Because what did we do in the 6th grade after we got done with our typing lesson? We did Oregon Trail, right?
And there was only like one computer to work on in the classroom.
But I remember like when we were playing Oregon Trail, I never made it very far. Like my party was always dying of dysentery or losing the wheel off of a wagon. I was so bad at that game. But yeah,
I was not good.
we're in that Zennial generation, which I think is like 77 to 83. So it's a very small 5-year micro generation. How I know this is because my dissertation is on generations, so I know this kind of stuff. But and so our scary movies are the best too, because Scream came out during our generation. So
yes, so there
definitely,
and the Blair Witch Project, which we talked about.
We've said Blair a lot.
And the Blair. And your Blair. The Blair Witch.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we are at 9 minutes. So that's when I have to cut it off for the banter.
Cut it.
So cut it. All right. So we're going to start part two of the Maud Crawford story, which I am so engrossed in this. I already love Maud. I really wish I would have gotten to meet Maud because she sounds amazing. But unfortunately, she had a really terrible thing happen to her.
Yes.
So we're going to recap really fast, Lisa, and then you can go on with part two.
Yes. So we were just talking about the suspects. And so basically, and Maud disappeared. She was home by herself, and her husband came home. He was at the movies. Her husband came home and she was gone. And this was 1957. Okay. Camden, Arkansas. So small town. Okay. So of course we talked about the suspect. The first person looked at was Clyde Crawford, her husband, and he was dismissed. So we discussed that. So the second thing that was looked at was, so Maud worked for the Gone McClellan, McClellan and Laney law firm. And so the partner, the McClellan part, was that John McClellan. So he was actually in the U.S. Senate, and he was on one of the committees that was actually, during that time frame, they were investigating the mafia. And so he was working with, Robert Kennedy, and that was the time period where they were really going after like Jimmy Hoffa and stuff like that. So one of the suspects that a lot of people thought, because of McClellan, so McClellan was a kind of it just said an inactive partner. You are making some faces. Are you taking selfies in your weird faces?
I don't know. I'm going to put it on our social media saying in the middle of the podcast. I'm listening to every word you're saying.
Okay.
I can do two things at once. Go ahead.
You're multitasking. But anyway, so I'm like squirrel or Amber's taking selfies. But anyway.
Just don't look at me. Just keep going. It's fine. Just keep going.
I'm going to hurt you. Okay. So McClellan was an inactive partner at that time because he obviously was in the politics and down in Washington. So he was busy with that. So he was the McClellan part of that. And so everyone in town was like, maybe, because of his association with the law firm, that, Maud was maybe abducted by the mafia. So that was suspect number 2. So the mafia, they were thinking that maybe Maud was taken to get to him and stuff. And so really quickly though, like he himself dismissed that. He was like, there's no way they're coming after her. There's no way they're coming after me, much less her. And then also there was not any other implication. There was, normally if the mafia was doing something like that, they wanted it known. Like they wanted it to be known. It would be like a hit. It would be, or some type of, hey, we did this, to you type of thing. The mafia wasn't scared. It's not they were going to be like, let's just, take this 65-year-old lady.
Well, every time I hear a story like this, I'm always amazed at how many connections Arkansas actually had to like the old school mafia. That is so weird to me.
Well, and we're going to get into it in later episodes, but goodness,
we have a whole Streets episode on all of that. You're working on that, aren't you?
Yeah. Do what?
Because I'm
Which
not.
one?
Are you working on the Al Capone?
I think that's on our agenda.
Okay.
But yes, down the road, Al Capone is definitely gonna be one of our things, and his connection to Arkansas.
Thought.
But
you took all those awesome photos.
Oh yes,
you were like legit a photographer that day because you sent them to me. Then I put them on the site
and on the web. Okay, so anyway, so that was the second. That was number 2, and that was pretty much dismissed right away. So Clyde was number 1 suspect, dismissed, and then the mafia connection. So that was kind of the grumblings in town. So so this thing, and like I said, after a couple of weeks after Maud's disappearance, the papers and pretty much the police were like, nothing. I mean, it just dried up. Like, there were no leads.
Oh, wow.
It was quiet. They were like, we don't have any
someone
leads.
So important to the community, because it sounds like she was a vital part of this community. You would think that after all the people
City
she helped,
council
that people would, start looking for her in big groups. You would hope that's what would happen.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine that happening in today's time and then not having a lead in 2 weeks. And of course, things are so different now. But yeah, it was literally like after 2 weeks is like dead. It was like not even, the chief of police. And they did try, I will say this, they did try to get the FBI to come in. And evidently there was like just kind of a law that was in place, the Lindbergh Act or something, that said that if someone...
Wow.
Yeah, that if someone was missing after 24 hours, that they obviously, if they were missing, then that kind of typically negated to the fact that they would be across state lines, which would then make it a federal case, which then you could typically call in the FBI.
So this is based on the Lindbergh baby case, right? Is that where that law came?
I guess so, yes. Yeah. And so that was one of those things that they had tried. I think the state police had tried, because the state police was kind of working on it as well. And they wanted to get help from the FBI. And evidently the FBI was, like, no, sorry, we're not going to get involved. And so they said that basically
that woman.
I know they basically said that there wasn't, if they could produce some type of federal. Angry. I know. It was just sad. So
it might not have been a gender thing, but I mean, it just really makes me mad that they didn't think that she was important enough to really, look for.
Yes.
I mean, somebody,
and especially
like
after everything she did, for the communities. But I will say, even Clyde, it was like he just thought she left, even though, I mean, her money was there, her car keys were there. I mean, nothing was gone. I mean, there was nothing to indicate that she picked up and left.
Right. So, like I said, a Southern lady never leaves her purse. She takes it everywhere. My mother takes it to the bathroom.
There you go. I mean, if someone yelled fire right now, I would grab my purse. Would you not? I mean, I would grab my purse. I'd probably grab as much as I could. I'm grabbing my purse. Like, it's right there.
Looking around. Yeah, I mean, I have some.
You'd grab your baby, your kids.
I would grab my baby, yes, and my kids, my 2 older kids. Yeah,
I mean,
but like as far as stuff, I don't know what I would. I don't know if I would grab my.
I'd probably grab my purse.
I would grab pictures. I think if I had to jet really fast out of my house, seriously, I would.
You just need your phone.
No, I mean like old photos, like that you can't replace. Photos, yeah, I think that's what I would grab for real.
That is, I'd be like, sorry, I'm grabbing my purse and I'm out of here. So, anywho,
there's nothing in my purse I can't replace. Is my theory on it. So, and it'd be nice to not be tied to my cell phone for a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, I need a break. But anywho,
I'm not your typical Southern lady, so there you go. But most Southern ladies will not leave their purse anywhere, especially unattended. So one time we went to the Crystal Mines in Hot Springs. My mother went with us, and I swear she sat in her lawn chair in the middle of the mines with her purse in her lap. So she never...
Like, no one's getting close to this person. I'm going to hurt them. That is what she was thinking. So, anywho, so back, what was I talking about? I don't know. Oh, okay. So yeah. So Clyde even just, I mean, the word on the street, of course, was, maybe she just left. I mean, no one had seen her. Life kind of, I guess, went on. Nothing was really happening. They weren't really investigating. So kind of fast forward. This is still like a big thing. It's still a big deal. She was a very celebrated person. So it was weird, and people knew about the disappearance. And so now I'm kind of getting into Beth. Okay. So Beth Brickell, she was from Camden. She was an actress in a film.
This is the author of the book.
Yes, this is the author of the book. So Beth had gone out, after she went out into the world, and she went to New York and LA. And so she was a working actress and into that scene. And so she had an agent. And I guess she had told her agent, this is in the 80s, she had told her agent about the disappearance in her small town, because this happened in her small town. Like she grew up
Camden, and she grew up hearing the stories.
Mm-hmm. And she actually met Maud. So she was actually, I guess, a candidate to the girl state. So she actually went to a tea at Maud's home. So she met her as a teenager.
Nice.
So, so this was very close to home.
I'm looking at Beth's IMDb page right now as we speak.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, she was like a working actress. Oh,
she was a working actress. I know, and she said that she did 100 or so appearances, whether it be like on the stage or TV, like she in film.
Looks like she was in Bonanza, Hawaii Five-0. Wow, yeah. Gentle Ben. I'm not sure what that is.
I don't know. Yeah,
looks like she was in a show called The Oregon Trail. There we go.
Speaking of which, but yeah, so she was
Facts of Life. I'm going to be like, whoa. Let me get down to the 80s and see.
I don't know about that, but she did talk.
Hornet.
Oh, the Green Hornet. Really?
Yeah.
Like a show.
She's got a pretty lengthy IMDb page. So go Beth.
So there you go. Awesome. Go Beth. So she was had talked to her agent about this story, and her agent kind of sent her out because I think she thought about doing maybe like a screenplay about it, to write a screenplay from what I understood. And what I'm
this
remembering.
Would make a fantastic movie.
I know.
She's like 100% right on that. This would be a good movie.
Yes. And so she went home to Camden, and she started kind of talking to people, and she was also into journalism, I guess. So she kind of had that background as well, but she started talking to people and realized that people were still very scared to talk about it. Very hushed. Was like, what are, didn't want to.
So it was one of those situations.
It was one of those
were
situations.
Afraid of what they said. Oh, wow.
Yes. So she was kind of figuring that out. And so she decided to go ahead and stay. So she spent 16 months there in Camden and doing this research and basically doing investigative, stories. And she ended up having published, like, I believe it was 18 or 19 articles in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, which is like the main, Arkansas paper there in Little Rock. And in fact, which we'll kind of get into, but she was, there was some pushbacks. And in fact, her and the paper, were getting threats of litigation.
Still all these years later.
And this was happening in 1986 is when she did this, when she started working on this. So that's what she was doing.
30 years later.
So 30 years later. So she, and in fact, this book, so I ordered on the Amazon, the Solving the Maud Crawford Puzzle. If you're a new listener,
she puts the in front of everything. Say that again, sorry.
Yes. And it's the Solving the Maud Crawford Puzzle. So this was actually the fourth book written by Beth. And this book is comprised of just kind of short little narrative, but it's basically all the interviews that Beth had with all of the people of Camden. So, and then she would kind of summarize. So she would have these chapters, and then she would kind of summarize her findings based on all of these, things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So based on her interviews with everyone. So she was interviewing everyone. So here's the deal. So we talked about Roseburg, right?
Right. In the last episode. So you may need to refresh, especially if somebody's listening to this one first.
Yes. Which they shouldn't. Go back. Stop it. Go back and listen to part one. Go listen to part one. But so Roseburg, Maud was Rose's guardian, and Rose was a very wealthy woman. So Rose's husband, Henry, had passed. Henry had had a business with his brother, Bill. And then Bill had a son named Mike. Okay. So when Henry passed, kind of evidently Mike had some health problems. It's mentioned in the book that Henry was going to leave. I think at that time you had the law was you would leave half of your, fortune fortune. Yeah. To like your people. And then the other half would go to your spouse. So right away, Henry's spouse, which was Rose, was going to get half. Okay. Right away. But Mike was having health issues. And so because of that, Henry ended up only giving Mike a quarter. So instead of giving Mike half and splitting it half and half with Rose, he was going to give, and did give, Mike a quarter of his fortune, and then he gave Rose the rest. So she got 3/4.
Wow.
And again, Rose was we're talking $20 million was evidently what she got. Okay.
Well, even a quarter of that is a lot of money, especially for that time
oh my
period.
Goodness. It is a lot of money. So Rose evidently, and of course Maud is working with Rose and her estate, and Rose was evidently like literally kind of bedridden, I guess. She had like nurses. She was being taken care of. So she was under guardianship. So evidently she was not like outliving her best life. She was older, and she was not active per se. Does that make sense? So
yes.
And I guess wasn't really expecting to live that much longer. But Rose had a wealth herself from inheriting from a business of her family. But evidently Rose had told Maud or had produced a will, supposedly, where Rose was going to leave her fortune, like split 3 ways between 3 nieces. Because I guess Henry and Rose did not have children either, right? Just like Maud didn't have children. But anyway, so Mike was not set to inherit Rose's part. And
that probably made him a little bit upset.
It did. So evidently Mike right there. So, Beth is investigating this, and glaringly from the beginning, I guess Mike is like in hot red colors, like the suspect. Like obviously he had a huge motive, which was money.
Money is always a motive.
It is the root of all evil, is it not? So, yeah. So Mike, he was a rich man. Evidently, Mike was very rich, obviously, because he already had this money, okay? And he should have gotten that money. I mean, I will say, not that you deserve any type of money, but, Henry had made that money with Mike's dad. So I totally understand that Mike would get inheritance. He should get inheritance, right. But and anywho, but I guess that Henry didn't think that he should get the half. But anyway, well, Mike was telling people that he felt like he should get it all. So this gets a little convoluted. He did. So he wanted all of it. So I'm going to go into a little bit about Mike. Okay. So evidently Mike.
Think about the ABBA song, Money, Money, Money. Sorry. Money, I love ABBA.
Must be funny.
Yep, that's it.
In a rich man's world. Yeah.
That's
Belle has been watching Mamma Mia like a lot lately.
Yay.
I love ABBA. But anyway, let's not talk about that. Although we love ABBA.
Okay, so he wanted all the money.
He wanted all the money. So Mike, obviously this Berg family, and if you go, they still have money. There is still companies. The Berg, I guess it's like a construction company, but basically these people had money. They had a lot of land. They had a lot of wealth. They had some serious money. I mean, $20 million back in the 50s. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I don't even want to think about it.
I know. I mean, that's a lot. $1 million is a lot to people now, much less back in the 50s.
Dude,
so, and
1,000 is a lot to me.
Just someone give us $1,000. No, just kidding. Yeah. I mean, seriously, like that's a lot of money to a lot of people. And so this was big money. So Mike grew up there. Evidently I guess his dad had passed when he was younger. Evidently his dad was a really nice man from what, Beth mentions in her book and articles that I found. So his dad was nice, but he passed. And then, so Mike was pretty much, I guess, raised by his mom from what I understood. And his mom was kind of described as kind of I guess like what do you call that? Like an arrogant person, a little bit arrogant, kind of,
the term
they know they have money. Hoity-toity. Yeah. Hoity-toity. Just kind of, and also another thing about her, and I'll tell you this, what she said, like, she would take like evidently her own linens whenever she would go stay at she would stay at really nice hotels and she would pack her linens. Like she was a germaphobe.
Now I'm a little bit
Yes.
of a germaphobe. I pack my own pillow. I don't want to sleep on a pillow someone else has been laying on, like and drooling on. Bleh. Packing my own pillow.
Yeah. I don't blame you for that. But like she would literally like take her own linens and everything. So she was a germaphobe and she passed that on to Mike as well. So, and Mike is described as just being super arrogant. When he was growing up, evidently he wasn't very good in school. He evidently made it to 8th grade, and I guess the teacher, there was like an incident at school and the teacher was getting on to him and he just left. Like he was like, I'm gone. And his mom basically came to get
here. 8th grade.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
8th grade. Yeah. So he didn't even graduate school. So he was not an educated person. He was kind of arrogant. Basically they had money and his mom, talked about the money, and
his mom was like, 8th grade, we're good. Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. We have businesses. We have these other things. They had holdings in the land, and they owned a lot of property. They owned like a jewelry store. So they had a lot going on, and basically, so did you hear that? No.
That would be my son playing the saxophone 2 rooms away, and our walls are so paper thin, everyone can hear it.
I was like, it sounded like a little bit like, I don't know.
It's a ghost saxophone player, like like an American Horror Story.
Oh gosh.
In the Coven, American Horror Story, where they have the Axeman playing the saxophone.
Oh gosh. That sounds terrible. I haven't even watched that, and that sounds terrible. But anyway, so Mike, not educated, kind of, he was very flashy, kind of one of those people that was always talking about how much money he had. And then also growing up, a lot of the men in town were getting drafted. So his mom was trying to keep him from the army because she's like, I don't want him hanging out with
this.
Do what? So this would have been World War. No, he would have been growing up in the
World War II or the 50s.
Probably the World War One. Because
World War One.
Yeah, because I would think. I think he died. He died in 75.
He died when?
He died in 75, and so it could have been World War II, and like in the
it could have been World War II. That's yeah.
So kind of in that realm. But his mom was like, literally, I don't want you hanging out with riffraff. Like that was what she was quoted to say. Like she didn't want him in the army because of that. And so she tried to keep him out of the army. I think they had a doctor that was the family doctor that was trying to keep him out, but he ended up getting drafted anyway. But evidently the army did some psychological analysis on him and dismissed him. So they were like, nah.
Okay, that's some interesting information right there.
I know.
That is interesting.
So this was Mike Berg, and actually his full name, he went by Mike, but his name was Henry. His legal name was Henry Meyer Berg. So when you're Googling this, that's what it's going to pop up as. So he was pompous. People said he was boring. He was pompous. He would talk about only himself. He wanted to flash around his money. He just wanted to
flash around his money.
Yes, like
what I like to do too. Flash around my $3 $1 bills. I'm going to
when you go to the dollar store.
When I go to the dollar store, look at all this money.
Look at my money. But yeah, so that was Mike Berg, and he did marry. He did have 3 children, evidently, and it didn't really go into that. But I will say there is, I guess his grandson now goes by Mike Berg as well. And we'll kind of talk about that. So this family is definitely still around, still prevalent. So kind of Beth is diving into all this, and just the more she hears,
she sounds pretty fearless too.
Yeah, she's pretty fearless. She's, people are telling her to stop, investigating, stop talking to people. And she's like,
I just tried to friend her on Facebook. We'll see if she accepts my request.
I be her friend. I hope so. When I ordered her book on Amazon and it came back signed. So she actually signed it before she popping it out. I know. It says, "Enjoy, Beth Brickle." It was so cute. So I thought that was adorable. But anyway, so one of the things that, Beth is finding is everybody's talking about the connection to Mike Berg. So Mike has a lot of connections to Maud. So guess what? Mike, this is small town, girl. Mike is frenzies with Clyde, Maud's husband.
Oh, wow.
I'm serious.
Poor Clyde.
I know. They are big friends. And then the other connection that Mike had to Maud, of course, Maud is the guardianship of his aunt, who he wants to take all her money. But, there's also Mike's attorney is Thomas Gone, which is, the law firm is Gone, McClellan, and Laney.
Laney.
Yes. So Thomas is actually Maud's boss. He's the main partner in the law firm. And so Mike Berg is, he is a client of the law firm. So all these connections.
Yes.
So we do have those connections going on. And so we're finding, so evidently right before, like kind of several months, maybe before she had gone missing, like Mike knew that, Maud was in charge of the money. She had she had the guardianship. So Mike was kind of going around. He didn't like Maud, and he was going around and saying, well, Maud's stealing money from Rose.
Oh, wow.
Like he was trying to kind of set Maud up.
She kept a receipt for every ham sandwich.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Maud and the whole community knew Maud to be honest, and they knew that Mike wasn't. I mean, Mike did not have a good reputation, and we'll talk about why. But yeah. So he is going around talking bad about Maud, even though he's friends with Clyde. So that's another thing. It's like you're friends, these people, but yet you're, so they were kind of getting into it. And in fact, Mike had tried to go to court, like take Maud to court to get her removed as the guardianship. So because he knew about the will,
it got ugly.
It's getting real. Like before she goes missing, like all this stuff is happening. So he knows about the will that's leaving the money to Rose's niece. He wants that gone. There's just a lot going on. And so there were some very suspicious things that Maud was discovering before she disappeared, was that there were some deeds that were being passed around. Some of the land that was owned by Rose was all of a sudden getting deeded to some people with associations to Mike. Okay. And along with these deeds is ownership to like timber leases. I mean, there's a lot of money there, not just the money of ownership of the land, but this land had leases, whether it be oil leases, but a big thing that was going on at that time were timber leases. So these were money producing lands. And so Maud was aware of two different situations, two different deeds that were filed, and they were drawn up. They were actually like drawn up in 1951. So it looked like one was drawn up in 1951, and then one wasn't even filed until 3 years later. So it's just kind of some weird things going on that Maud was aware of. And she also knew that Rose was, deemed incompetent during these periods. So she wasn't even deemed to be able to be signing off on deed releases. And you didn't find out
what was going on with her?
Do what?
What was going on? I mean, she just had a health.
I think it was just more like dementia type situation. Like she just wasn't like, which was weird. It was like Mike was trying to say that she was incompetent on some things, but then she was competent enough to sign over land deeds. And so that was kind of a problem because Maud knew that, she was like, okay, why would Rose be signing away this land when Rose intends to give her family, the fortune when she passes? Like nothing that Rose had was wanting to go to Mike, as far as Maud understood from Rose. Okay. So, but Mike was like, no, this is happening. And so even Maud was in communication with the nieces that Rose had. So there were 3 nieces that were set to,
so get everything from Maud's standpoint seemed to be like it was on the up and up.
Yes, like everything. I mean, everybody trusted Maud. Everybody, Rose trusted Maud. I mean, but everything that Beth was finding was just leading back suspicions to Mike. So,
oh wow,
and there, yes, and so and motive. So he had the motive of the money, and there was a lot of money at play here.
apparently so.
Mm-hmm, and evidently wrote. And so I will say, so Mike was involved in a lot of things other than ownership. He had been appointed as a state police commissioner.
Oh,
he
wow.
was also, yes,
What
he
do
was
they
also,
do?
I don't really understand it much, but because
Sounds
it's
like
something,
an important title.
I know it sounds really important, and you would think that
It's like
someone,
Commissioner Gordon from Batman.
well, you would think that it's someone in law enforcement or someone that had gone to school even, but no, he was uneducated. But basically back in the day, Governor Faubus, when Mike had actually donated money to Faubus's running for governor. So when he made governor, he appointed Mike as police or state police commissioner. So Mike has a lot of power.
Who needs experience, right?
Huh. I know, who needs experience or anything, like when you can just be appointed. So, but he was also, Mike was, he wasn't just about money, he was about power. And so he was also involved in, like, he was on the board of directors of the hospital. He was a volunteer fireman. He had his hand in everything. They said that you couldn't get, he was on all these other committees, and he had associations with people at the bank, like either were relatives or working for him. And he liked to basically throw his money around. So they did say he was very good to his employees. Like if you worked for Mike, he took care of you, evidently. I mean, he was passing around Cadillacs as well, and we'll get into that. But
oh, wow.
Yeah, he would he would try to send everyone in town like gifts, like, and he always, like, if he gifted you something like a Rolex watch or something, he would leave the price tag on it. Like, he wanted you to know how expensive
he's one of those type of people. Oh, nice.
Yes. And he would also, like, the fire people, like all the firemen, like, he would donate TVs to their department. He would donate, like, pool tables. Like, he set these people up. Like, he really wanted.
He was probably pretty well liked.
Oh, well, he really wasn't, honestly. Like, I mean, people literally called him boring and arrogant and pompous, and he would only talk about himself. But I think he basically wanted to buy people off. And I will say, Beth came to find out in her interviews that even the chief of police was renting a Berg home, a rental home, at a very, evidently some people were saying he got it free, but other people were saying he was renting it for like very cheap. So it's like he was purposefully involved in things so he could get away with things. So during his, yes. So over the years she did find, so he had all these like properties, like there were literally like 15 properties that would burn to the ground, and that he would collect, that he would collect insurance on. Like 15. I mean,
and nobody said a word.
And nobody said a word to him. Like, I mean, in fact, he's a part of he is a volunteer fireman. He is giving money to the fire people.
Worst fireman ever. Everything is burning down around him.
Yeah. All of his properties are just burning down. There were literally like 15 different properties that were associated with him during a time frame there in like the 40s and 50s and up into the 60s that were burned. They were just gone.
And all this is documented in this book.
Yeah. And this all documented, and it's like,
this would be a good time to say all these things we're saying are published in this book.
Yes, all of this,
and talking about what's in the book.
Yes, in Beth's book. So all of these things are coming straight from this book, and coming straight from.
Definitely goes deeper than what's in, like, something like Encyclopedia of Arkansas, which is awesome too. But this is this is like small town like politics stuff. So
yes, I mean he basically owned this town back in his time period. I mean, so right there. I mean, if you think Mike Berg is a suspect, like, do you think? I mean, people. He had the chief of police, and he was big friends with Clyde. Clyde was like, "Well, Mike, even Clyde was like, I've heard Mike's involved, but I just don't understand how he could do that." So the thing about Beth thinking Mike definitely did it. So that night that it happened, so there was a nurse that kind of took care of Rose Berg. And remember, the Bergs lived across the street from Maud?
Right.
Okay. And remember that Dal, Maud's dog, who was vicious, was just chilling?
The Dalmatian, yeah.
Mm-hmm, the Dalmatian. So they felt like the only way to get Maud out of her home was someone lured her out that knew her. Like, they felt like someone just knew her.
Yeah,
they were like, hey, come with us. So what they believe that happened, and eyewitnesses say that they saw a black vehicle, a black big vehicle, and there were several black vehicles attributed to Mike Berg and contributed to his associates. Like, he had 2 men that worked for him that did all of his things. Does that make sense? Like, there was a Lee Wilson, and then it was like the other guy's name. It just eluded me. Where is it? Oh, it's all over the place. So I'll come back. He had
personal bouncers, basically, or he had people that just did what he wanted. Oh, okay.
Yes, it was like yes, definitely. It was like a Jack Norris was one of his associates.
Not
so there
Chuck
was
Norris,
not Chuck Norris, but yes.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
Well, that sounds like something you would see in a movie.
Jack Doris. So Jack Doris was attributed to being Mike Berg's bodyguard.
Okay.
And so the nurse across the street did see what she saw were 2 people pull into Maud's driveway. And so the belief is, because a couple months back, this kind of goes back a little bit. So Clyde had been in an accident, and actually Mike had come and told Maud about it. And so they were thinking that maybe, Mike was a friend. He would have, it wasn't abnormal that he would show up at their house. He was a friend of Mike or Clyde's.
Right.
So they were thinking that Mike and one of his henchmen showed up at Maud's in the big car and told her to come, hey, something's happened to Clyde, come with us. So that would be something that she,
reason. Yeah, that would be a reason to get her out of the house.
Yeah, and why Dal would be, she probably told Dal, hey, I'll be right back. She didn't take her key, she didn't take her purse, she didn't take anything.
She just went with whoever was, in the vehicle.
Yes.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
And another thing that happened, like, there was a witness, evidently, that, so these people are, this is in 86, so this is after everything's gone down a little bit. So, they're saying to Beth, like, these are sons or daughters of people that were involved, but people that were connected, they were saying, hey, yeah, I saw blood. One time after this, 2 weeks after this happened, I went, underneath this office building of Mike Berg's, and there was a car in there, and there was blood in the back seat. So literally there was blood, and then all of a sudden the car just disappeared. They got rid of the car.
They got rid of the car. Wow. Well, okay. So my question is, how good were the forensics? What did the police do when
the police weren't even investigating it. Yeah. There were no forensics. They were watching nothing.
Big old TVs.
Yeah. The police.
No, I'm joking. I'm just joking.
Yeah. Pretty much all these people that are talking later were too afraid to talk then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
And probably a lot of people have passed on since all this.
Oh, yeah.
Transpired.
Yes.
Wow.
So, his henchmen have.
Go ahead. His henchmen. I love that word, henchmen. What?
Yeah. So the Jack Doris, I believe the Jack Doris was the person that they felt like did it, because he actually did all the dirty work. Mike himself was such a germaphobe. He wouldn't even shake hands with people. Like, they said that he would wear gloves all the time, and he wouldn't even touch people. He wouldn't touch doorknobs.
Oh, wow.
So he wouldn't have done it, but he would have been the one that was connected to Maud to lure her away. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like, he would have had a connection to be like, hey. And then his henchmen guys, like the Jack Doris, he would have been the one to actually do, and there was a man. Allegedly. And now this is all in the book that Beth wrote. So
this is not new information we've uncovered. No. This is in the book. We are just kind of telling you in the book what's in the book.
Yes. And so in the book, it does say another person that worked for Mike Berg said that same night he was called out to go fill in a well. Okay.
What? Okay, repeat that.
Yes.
He was called to do what?
Yes. So he was called late at night, like 2 a.m. or so, like very late.
Say,
And
hey,
he didn't
there's a well that really needs to be filled right now.
on this property that Mike Burke. So basically he was also he just worked for Mike. And a lot of these people, again, Mike was very, very good to his employees. And he had a lot of employees. He had a construction company. He had a lot of land. He had the jewelry store. He had it was called Mike Burke Cadillac. Like or automobiles. Like he owned a dealership. Like he owned a lot of things. He had a lot of employees. And these employees were loyal and they were scared. Like all these people are scared too. I mean, even to the point when Beth talked to them in the 80s, they're still like, I don't want to talk about this. Like a lot of people just didn't even want to talk to her. So
that's some power right there.
Exactly. I mean, this is years later. So
I do have a question.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So in all of this, at no time was even a shoe, nothing.
No.
Nobody. Nothing.
Nobody has ever been produced. Nobody has. And in fact, so of course, in Beth's book, she lines this all up. She says, okay, Mike is responsible. She's basically saying he is responsible. So we're just gonna, So Mike is responsible. Jack Norris probably did the work. It sounds like that they dumped her. Not Chuck Norris. They probably dumped her in this well, because this well was located on Burke property.
My question is, why have they not been to that well and dug it up?
So the property is still owned by the Burke family.
Oh, I see.
So Beth, at the end of her book, she shows that she has written letters with all of her, research that she's done, with all of her interviews. So she's written to the prosecutor there. So Camden is located in Washtenaw County. She has written to the sheriff and the chief of police of current. This is current. This is
this is a
21
fresh
and 22
can of worms right here.
This is a fresh can of worms.
This is a fresh one.
She wrote directly to the Mike Burke that is the grandson of this Mike Burke we're talking about. And she has asked him for permission for them to dig this up and just prove or disprove his family's involvement, his grandfather's involvement.
Interesting.
Yes.
Dude, Lisa, that is crazy.
Yes, it is crazy. Wow. So, I mean, she has asked this to happen. So, I mean, I would say this is, that would be, I'm sorry, if this was my family and people were talking about my grandfather, I'd be like, sure. And honestly, just to what if she is there? What if she really is? Because this lake, it was basically a well by this lake that the Burke family owns and still owns to this day. So,
wow. Big, capital W. Wow.
Yes. And a lot of these, but
again, let me just say, this is all allegedly. We are not
from the book.
From the book.
It's not from us.
It's not from us. We're not accusing anybody of anything. No. But this sounds like a really good book, and I totally want to borrow this when you're done. So.
Oh yes, yes. Wow. I am finished with it.
And she's one brave lady to just put all that out there. And when was this book published?
So this one was her fourth book. So there are some other books, and you can get them on the Amazon. But let me look at the date on this one. So bear with me. Oh, this one was published in 21. So this is her newest.
Relatively new.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Interesting.
So, and again, she has sent out the letters, to everyone that can do something. Basically, it's like, hey, have people come out there. They have ground penetrating radar now that they can see if there's what's there, if they could even get cadaver dogs or whatever,
Right.
So basically she's trying to get the Burke family or the prosecutor or someone to get involved to where they can finally put this to bed. She just, you can tell Beth just wants to put this to bed. So one way or the other, just put it to bed. But that is her conclusion. And I mean, all signs in her book based on her research point to who else again had the motive, had the abilities,
This is allegedly.
Now we'll go back.
Wrote in about me saying allegedly.
Allegedly, yes. Allegedly. I will go back to this. So Maud eventually, her body was never discovered. Clyde actually passed in June of 1969. It doesn't say how he passed, but right after that, so a month later, the courts did come out and finally, I don't know what's the ruling on that, but basically they came out and said that she was dead. You know, they just ruled
They
that she
declared her
had
dead.
died. It
Right.
says so in July, it was July 17th of 1969, so a month after Clyde had passed. It says the probate court of Ouachita County declares Maud Crawford deceased and has been dead since March 2nd, 1957, as a result of foul play perpetrated by person or persons unknown.
Wow.
So in 1969,
like capital W, wow.
Yes,
and
the county felt like she was murdered. So the case, I mean, I would say it's closed. They found her deceased, and they've never really investigated. You know, the FBI didn't get involved. I don't see that the case is open. I think what Beth's trying to do is get the case open with the prosecutor.
Oh my goodness,
which would be
I can't believe
amazing.
It hasn't had more attention. You know, I mean, this is like the first time I've ever really heard the story.
Yes.
That is just wild.
Yes. So if you, and this is, I mean, so I would say everyone write a letter to Ouachita County Prosecutor's Office, the Sheriff's Office, or the Chief of Police.
Yes.
There you go.
All 12 of our listeners.
All 12 of us.
Let's get some letters going.
Let's reach out. Yes.
Let's just see. Let's just see what happens.
Mitch McCoy of Fox News, I will say this. He did, isn't he Fox, I think? Anyway, he's one of the news in Little Rock. He did an investigative.
That's the only one I keep up with.
Oh, gotcha. Well, Mitch McCoy did a story and talked with Beth, so you can look into that. But okay, so when I was doing this research and I was Googling, I did find a band. I guess they're located in the northwest, like Fayetteville area of our state, and their name is Maud Crawford. And at first I was like, really? And I don't know. Wow. So I don't know this band.
Laugh, but what in the world?
Well, my feelings were like, really, dudes? Like, it's a bunch of guys, and I think it's like folksy. And so my question is,
you know I do.
So I know you do. So my question is to anyone, if you know this band or know these people, I personally want to know if this was like a shout out to Maud Crawford or if they just thought it was a cool story or a cool name. Well, I want to know. These people exist, so someone find out for me, please.
I totally want to know now too. Yes,
go.
You know I will try to. I love some local band stuff. Yes, but maybe they just want to keep her name in the news. Maybe they're just trying to keep her name out there. I mean, I think that's a good plan, right? Because everybody will be like, why Maud Crawford? Maybe one of them is from Camden. Who knows?
Maybe. And I hope it's more of like a tribute because the woman was awesome. And in fact, awesome. Beth had talked to the present mayor of Camden, and literally Maud does not have a tombstone. Like, she doesn't have a tombstone. No.
What?
She does. Well, she was declared dead after her husband died.
Crime, I guess.
And they didn't have any. I know, and they didn't have any kids. Like, there's no kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, she has nothing.
She doesn't even have a tombstone. That is so sad.
So he was saying that he was going to get a plaque. Like, he was going to start like doing something to commemorate her. You know, all the things that she did for the community. Like, do something. He said he was going to have the
Maud Crawford band play.
I guess.
Well, no, I'm totally on board with this because, you know, just listening to her life, it sounds like she did a lot of really cool stuff.
Oh, yes.
And it sounds like, you know, this lady needs to rest in peace, man. I mean, Arkansas needs to kind of take notice of this and try to figure out where those remains are so she can have a proper burial.
Like, I would say definitely, I mean, there's a lot of smoke here. There's definitely enough to, surely you can get what do you call it? I'm drawing a blank. Like,
is it a juncture or
is it a subpoena?
Something,
I don't know.
Yeah, surely and
do some ground penetrating or something.
Well, I don't know if you would have to have some kind of warrant. I don't know what that would entail.
Warrant, yes, I would think that there's plenty of warrant here to go in and or just not. I mean, and again, the family, if there's nothing to hide, or if they really think that he didn't do anything, like, hey, come on.
Yeah.
Check it out.
That's an interesting story. I mean, just all the way around. Just Maud is interesting. The person, Beth, that wrote this book. You know, there's a lot of loose ends here. And it's not, this is unsolved. This is truly
Yes.
unexplained. And so this case,
Yes.
I really feel like we should continue to monitor it and make sure that, you know, if there's any changes, you know, we let our listeners know.
I know I myself am going to reach out to follow up with the people that Beth has written letters to, and I will post her letters whenever we post the references and everything and pictures. I'm going to post some pictures online. So I'm
totally down with keeping this case alive, like helping out, because, you know, I really feel like this
woman, our part.
Let's do our part. Let's make sure this woman, you know, gets to rest in peace. You know, I mean, I really, my heart goes out to her family and those that just don't know. Yeah,
and she was amazing. She was Aunt Maud, and her husband was Uncle Clyde, and she rented, and she just took care. I mean, she was just very active in, you know, educating women, furthering their careers. Yeah. I mean, I would think the girls
in the 50s. You know. I mean, let's be part of the Maud Crawford movement. Yes.
I like that. Maud Crawford movement. So, people reach out, and we're going to be posting items from Beth's book. So yes,
we are going to post all the details from this story. This was a good one. This was a delicious story. I mean, I'm telling you, it was delicious. It had all the details of a good unexplained tale. So we will definitely keep up with this and post anything and everything that we find, you know, in the coming months, you know, regarding this, because I'm sure Lisa will stay right on top of it. So, all right,
you know,
that is episode 2, and so we are so we are so happy that go
and
where
reach out to us. Oh, I don't know. Where are we going? We can't go anywhere because it's Snowmageddon. It's Snowmageddon.
We can't even leave our house. I can't even leave my front door right now. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to spend the next however many days, you know, like snowed in with the 4 males in my house. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Yeah, I should have got a hotel. I really should have.
You should have. Hey, I told you to come over here and get snowed in.
That's true. You did. I should have gotten snowed in over there. So, all right.
What am I, Blair / Lisa?
Yeah.
Casa LeBlair. Well, everyone, thank you for listening, and remember to follow us on all the. Tell them the Instagram name, Amber.
Unexplained Arkansas.